Release the Kraken!
Good evening, fellow game designers. Ron here with Lame Duck Studios. In this tutorial, we're going to look at how to texture our model and put some finishing touches on them as well. So to do that, today we're going to be using Mudbox 2018. So I'm in Maya 2018, and we're going to be using Mudbox 2018, which is this. Now, if you want to look at the old-fashioned way to do this in Photoshop, I recommend checking out one of my earlier videos from like last year, which is with the simple characters. So it's Box Modeling for Beginners, Part 8. And that one takes you through taking UVs directly in the Photoshop and painting on those. For this one, because we're a little bit more advanced, let's go ahead and do the more advanced option, which is to paint it in Mudbox. So here's my model, and I'm going to take the hairpiece, and I'm going to set that back down to 0. Take the back of the hood, and I'll also set that to 0. Now I can take all the pieces of my model, so it's like that, it's like the hair and the coat. I'm not going to take the eyes, only because we're going to do those by hand. Then I'm going to go up to File, and then come down to Send to Mudbox. Now if you're in 2016 and you don't happen to have the same version of Mudbox, you won't have the Send To option. The Send To option is only there if you have the same version type. So this is Maya 2018, and I'm going into Mudbox 2018. So if your version numbers are different, it won't let you do that. Okay. So File, and I'm going to go to Send to Mudbox. And you can update the current scene, or you can create a new one, either or. I'm going to do Send as New Scene. And I'm over here in Mudbox, and you can see I get a pop-up message that says Problem Detected with the Imported Mesh. And you can see it says what the issue is. It says Interior Vertex has Valence 2, which means that you have vertices sharing interior pieces. You can actually read the error here. So as we were making our model, we're trying to be very careful about make sure that we're using quads, avoiding things like n-gons and anything like that. But occasionally you miss something, or if you have any bad geometry, Mudbox likes to let you know. I'm going to go ahead and hit Keep All. And I'm going to close this pop-up window here. This is always there when it starts, so hit Close. And you can see on my model, the red area that's highlighted, it says, hey, the problem is right in here. Okay. Now you do want to fix this before you do anything on the model, because if I try to subdivide my model, it's going to complain. It says, hey, 2 or more faces share more than one edge. This model cannot be subdivided until this is fixed. So if you have any of these red errors on your model, make sure you fix it and then send it back. So I'm going to go ahead and fix mine real quick. Jump in there. And it said it's right around here on the mouth. So I'm going to go in over here. And it says it's a vertex. I'm going to go to vertex mode. And let's take a look. Yep, I have a free-floating vertex right there. You can see this vertex makes this a quad, but it actually joins a face together with 2 edges, which you can't have. The face can only be joined edge to edge by one edge. So I'm going to grab that free-floating vertex and just go ahead and delete it off. And this one also, we can delete that one off. Now triangles are okay. Mudbox doesn't seem to really care about that. So I'm going to leave that as it is. I'm going to select my pieces. And just to keep it from being creepy, I will send my eyes over. I'm not going to paint on my eyes though. File. I'm going to send back to Mudbox, and this time I will update current scene. I will import. Let's look around the model. I don't see any other errors. Alright, so far so good. So now that the model is in Mudbox, we can do all sorts of things to it. Just to kind of give you a basic rundown, if you've never been in Mudbox before, it's very similar to Maya. Controls are the same. Alt, click and drag turns. Alt and right mouse click lets you dolly in and out. Alt and mouse wheel lets you pan. And then the mouse wheel scroll lets you zoom in and out. Over to the right, we have our layers, our object list that shows you everything in your scene. And you have your view filters that you can mess with to adjust your view. Layers are kind of neat because you can add different levels of modifications to your character and turn them on and off. And there's a difference between sculpting layers and paint layers, which we'll touch very briefly in here, but most of this is going to be painting. So my object list, I'm going to look down for my character body. Now, what you really should have done is named it in Maya and then sent it over. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go over to Maya. I'll name this body. Select the hair piece. Change the name in the channel box. I'll call that hair. For the eyes, this is his left eye. So to my right, his left, right? And this is the right eye. Oops. And this part is the hoodie. Sweet. Select all those. I will clear the history. Save this scene. Send it back to Mudbox. And then I'll keep it. Oh, it's showing me where that error is now. You can see the updated scene is here. It looks like I ended up getting repeated objects, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a new scene. There we go. Alright, that's better. Not as many pieces, but you can see the... Now I have the body. Talk about on and off. I have the eyes and the hair. And there's another problem right there. So that's the other one. It says I have non-manifold geometry. That is faces that are 3 faces joined together on the same edge. So I'm going to go in and take a look at that real quick. Here's my hair cap. I'm going to right click on that, go to vertex face. Take a look. So vertex face separates all the faces and lets me see what's hiding. Oh, I see. There's actually a point here. I'm going to go ahead and go to vertex mode. Get rid of that extra vertex. I'm going to put that back where it was. Just send this piece back. Alright, so I sent it back over, and you can see it's complaining about the eye now. So the issue with the eye is it doesn't like having the multiple faces joined together, but I'm not worried about that because we're actually going to paint these somewhere else, so no big deal on those. I just want them there to fill in the creepy face. I don't know why it's not complaining about that eye. Moving on. So we have our body. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then I don't want to accidentally modify any other pieces, so right here there's a lock. I'm going to come down in between where the lock is, you have the eyeball and the name. It's not really obvious, but there's actually a lock here. So I'm going to go ahead and click where the hair is, create the lock, create the eyes, and the hoodie. So that I can't accidentally move those if I don't want to. So I'm going to make his tunic look a little bit more like a tunic. You can also do some adjustments here to fine-tune any of the body stuff. So for example, let's say I don't like the way his arms are. Maybe this is too far out. I can take some of my sculpting tools down here. I have my grab and my pinch. So if I take my grab brush, for example, hover out here, if I hold down the B key, it lets me change the size, click and drag. And I can take a part of the body and start moving that in. See that? It's like sculpting with clay. Let me turn symmetry on. So over to the right, I have mirror. I'm going to do mirror in the X because that's the direction my character is facing. So my character is facing Z and X is left and right. Now I can just do some quick cleanup of the body, any adjustments I want to make. Let's say, oh, you know, his butt's too flat. I can always come in here, grab my foamy brush, do a little bit of a fluff on the gluteus maximus here. That gives him a bit of a roundness. Then maybe for the hoodie, or we couldn't get those little edges for the hoodie drawn on because it would have taken forever to do it in Maya, but I can sculpt those on here. So I can grab the Sculpt Brush. Adjust my settings here. My strength is really high, so if I were to drag on this, it would be a lot. But if I take this, take the brush down, take my strength, maybe drop that down to like a 1, I can start sculpting on where the hoodie would go. Turn the actual hoodie piece off. Now you can see as I'm doing this, it's going to get jagged. Now that jaggedness is due to not having enough geometry. So if I hit W, it'll bring up wireframe, and you can see that. So what I can do is I can subdivide the model. You can go up to Mesh, and then come down to Subdivide. Where are we at? Add new subdivision level. You can also hit Shift D, and that'll subdivide your model a little bit. It'll give you more resolution to work with. Now be aware that you can't take a high resolution model into the game engine. It just won't work. So what is recommended is to do all your sculpting work on a high resolution model, and then use a low resolution model inside the game engine with projection mapping on it, or a not projection mapping, but normal maps and displacements, so that you can actually get the illusion of that detail there without having to put all the geometry in, which is what we're going to do. So I'll keep going. So you'll go up into the next subdivision level when you start getting jagged. I'm going to sculpt this on. So maybe I'll go like that. If I want to get like really fine creases, I can use the pinch brush. Let me go up to the next subdivision level, Shift D. Change my brush size. Now I can come into here and I can really crease this edge if I want to. If I keep doing this, you can see it's getting sharper and sharper and sharper. Look at that. Not quite what I'm going for, but good. Let's grab that Sculpt tool. And if you press the Control key as you sculpt, it'll push in. And then if you hold down Shift while you paint or while you sculpt, it'll smooth. So I can smooth out like this rough spot. So I'm going through, I'm just doing a little bit of sculpt, and then I'm smoothing out the rough area. Hi, kitten. Now, since I know back here is going to have the hood, I don't really have to do anything over here. But let's see, just to take a look at what it's going to look like. It's probably close enough. You'll get just back there enough. Now, it is very easy to destroy your work when you smooth, so just watch what you're doing. If I try to smooth in here and I get too close to the shape I just made, I'll end up flattening it off, which I don't want. That's why I'm very careful to not go over my work. Okay. So let's say like this part, and then... Hi, kitten. Okay, kitten. And let's say like right here on the hoodie, he has, I don't know, we can do like a drawstring or a zipper or something. I'm not going to do a zipper because that's going to take too long. But to keep it simple, maybe this is like an old time kind of, like a tunic / hoodie. So he'll have these little crosses. Like this little cross stitch. So I'm just kind of going through and adding these in. However detailed you want to be. good enough for this example. And then on the belt buckle, I'm going to make a belt buckle here. So let's draw this out. I'll make a nice belt buckle. Fill this in. And then I can use like my flatten brush to kind of flatten this off, make it look more like metal. Grab my Sculpt. Now there are different brushes down here. For example, the waxy brush will give you a very flat, oops. Every time I go to Sculpt, she rubs her head on my hand to get petted, and it pushes. Anyway, different brushes do different things, so I'll dial this down. Again, check your brush sizes as you go, and your brush strength. And as I paint this, it'll give me sort of like a build up. So every time I paint, it'll build up a layer. See that? Doot, doot, doot. So I'm gonna paint the belt buckles on, or not the belt buckle, but the loops for the, however that's gonna be, you know. Do a few of these. Maybe I'll take up that the strength just a tad. And there's usually one in the back. You can see how this didn't quite get the crease that I wanted. I can go and do Shift D, go up to the next subdivision level. Let's make the level 3, and you can see the poly count there. I'm at 34. You can do page up and down to kind of see that stuff. So page down, page back up. That's at 340,000 polygons. So bringing this into Unreal would just kind of crash everything. Depends on your computer. It wouldn't crash mine. I have a pretty decent amount of RAM, but on the school computers, it probably wouldn't be able to support this. I'm gonna, oops, that strength is way too high. Get the creases on these little belt loops here. Crease that belt. Again, you can be as precise as you want here. I'm just gonna do the belt loops and then get on to painting. And as I'm going through and carving this in, I'm doing a quick smooth pass on the connecting areas. So I carve in, get the shape that I want, and then I smooth. So naturally, the more time you spend on this, the better it's going to look. Right here, I'm just being very quick. And there are other things you can do here as well. Like if you wanted to add a cloth pattern or like a leather pattern, you can load that in. So down here we have some stencils and some stamps. And to kind of give you an example, let's say this is like a leather belt, and I needed some gouges. I can grab this little gouge brush here, whatever this stamp is, and I can carve that in, and it will create that pattern for me. Now the higher the resolution of your model, the more subdivisions, the better that's going to look. Let's see, there's more stuff like this, whatever this cross-hatching pattern is. I can paint that into here. You can see that showing up. I'm going to go up a few subdivisions, so Shift D, that's 4, and then 5. You can see I'm over 1 million polys at this point, right? But at that higher subdivision level, I can paint on that pattern, and you can see it really show up, right? Now I'm not going to continue sculpting at this high resolution just because I don't need to. So I'm going to page down back to, yeah, 3 is good enough. Now, one thing you should be aware of is whenever you go page up or page down into your different subdivision levels, you lose your work history. So you can't Control Z after changing your subdivision levels. Be aware of that. Okay. Whoops, I happen to have that brush on. If you have a stamp on and you don't want to use it, you can uncheck the stamp here, or you can click the off key. Luckily, it was low enough resolution that it didn't matter. It's showing some weird geometry artifacts there. So I have my little belt, got that sculpted on. If you want to do like scars or stuff, you could do that too. I'm gonna do the nostril. So I'll go up to the nose and I'll just hit Control and push in. Maybe add that little snot slide called the Philtrum. Go ahead and hold Control and push that in. You can do whatever work you want on here to splice up to like the lips or whatever. Oops. Let's grab my foamy brush here. Whoa, that's way too strong. Now, pro tip, the upper lip should hang over the bottom lip. So when you're painting these on or sculpting, just kind of watch for that. Let me grab this wax brush here. And as I sculpt, this lip should be over that lower lip. That's how the muscle kind of hangs over. Turn the wireframe off. Not the best set of lips, but it'll get the job done. Alright. If there's any other finishing touches you'd like to add on, like maybe bootlaces or whatever, go ahead and do that. The next one, I'm going to do some stuff to the hair, add a few other tweaks, and then I'll start painting. Okay? Make sure you save the Mudbox file, and then I will see you next time.